back, everybody, to the SSL premiere as Wolf speeds onto the stage here for game number 4. It's going to be Deer versus Maru. The timer was off. It wasn't Wolf's fault.
It's not about the timer. There were a bunch of fans around the restroom area. I just could not get out of the bathroom, literally. So I was like, excuse me, guys. Stuck. And then everyone just like looked at me. I'm like, I need to be on the stage now. But I made it, and I got to entertain the fans for a second. Sure, there'll be an InVen post about it tomorrow, but it'll be all right.
You're alive. You made it. It's good. You're on time here for Deer versus Maru. We got another PBT. And I know a lot of people are favoring Maru in this one. It's hard not to. Deer just coming up from Challenge. A lot of people haven't really seen him do too well comparatively, but I think it definitely could be closer than a lot of people are expecting.
Yeah, I mean, obviously Maru, the more accomplished player and the more successful player in Legacy of the Void. That's why he has the lead in head-to-heads, but yeah, like you said, don't count Deer out here. This is his opening match in SSL Premier. It's not his first SSL, not his first rodeo, so definitely has an opportunity to prove himself in this first series. And a strong showing for Deer, I think, needs to start early. You know, he's got a tough road in his first 3 matches, Maru, Stats, and Classic. So, obviously, he faces the easier ones where he's already bested Hero and Protoss versus Protoss. He face Alive later, but starting off strong here is going to be difficult with these tough opponents. Maru's his first roadblock here. Deer's always had a pretty standard approach to PvT, not as much PvZ or PvP. So we'll see what he brings to the table today, how aggressive he's going to be. Maru, remember we talk about the different Terrans, the 4 horsemen. This guy is all about control, precision in his attacks, his drops, things of that nature. So Deer is going to have to play very carefully against this Terran or else be defeated. We had a pretty rough series between these two on the first day of Fastlane, and hoping the level play is a little bit cleaner this evening.
Yeah, and I think that play that you're talking about was actually Maru versus Deer, and Deer did end up winning that series. So again, if you're looking for a series that these guys have played in the past, that one will be the first one that comes up, and Deer was able to win. So definitely think about it before you go ahead and type in Twitch chat, oh, Maru with the easy 2-0, this is going to be a stomp. Definitely should be pretty close. Ascension to Ire, Odyssey, and Abyssal Reef are going to be the maps.
Yeah, so finally get to see our new maps in the pool here, and we're going to see both of them since this is, of course, a best of 3. Ascension to Ire and Odyssey will both be shown. Definitely have to favor Maru here, but we'll see if Deer can pull something out.
So let's jump into game number 1 on Ascension to Ire right now. Fly, better fly, Jin Air. Speaking of Jin Air, oh wait, not yet. Down here in the bottom right, the yellow Protoss, it is Deer. He's not from Jin Air.
Speaking of Jin Air, his opponent to the top left in blue, it is Maru.
Why does he play blue? Why doesn't he play green?
I don't know. I think all Terrans today have played blue and all Protoss have played yellow. So maybe that's a color coding that is required by the league. I don't know. What happens when 2 Terrans play against each other, though? They can't both be blue.
That's true. Maybe one of them is red then.
One's like teal. I'm like, oh.
Well, that would just be bad planning.
One of them's regular blue, the other one's Facebook blue, and I just can't tell the difference. Well, let's see what comes to pass here. This is my first time casting a game on Ascension to Ire. Really feels very much similar to Abyssal Reef in rush distance, and obviously cross spawns here. The 2-player map, you end up with similar functionality for scouting, timing attacks, drop ships, and things like that. Not a lot of dead space on the map. There is some between the natural in the third base. It could be used depending on what third base you take, obviously. Both third bases, though, will be a little bit of drop range. This is important because Maru loves his drop ships. And this is just funny. Didn't commit to the pylon, didn't have enough money.
That was close. Okay, here we go. Pylon coming down. Yeah, I mean, you were saying basically straight up PVT from Deer, but this is the one thing that he does like to do more than anything else. It did become almost standard in this matchup because players were doing it so often, but the proxy Stargate, definitely a big deal. And Maru, he's going to come in and scout this.
Yep, he already knows what's up, or he should be able to reasonably assume. The Reaper is going to follow up Scout. Actually goes back because the SCV is harassed currently by the probe. So that's building the command center. Actually nearly loses it. One more. If he actually had one more shot, if he didn't halt, he would have lost the SCV and have had to send another one down. Kind of crazy how that turned out. The probe that went to make the Stargate's taking the safe route home, so this won't be scouted. But the Reaper is looking for this because he already counted pylons, and Maru can count to 3, but he only saw 2 in the main base. That lets him know it's definitely a proxy, and we'll confirm the scout.
He's already getting to work on that pylon. We'll see if the Adept goes over to save it. He's actually just going to send one SCV to help out, but gets caught out in the middle of the map by the Adept. And not much here just yet. He's waiting for those 2 Hellions to come out. And there they are, one of them stuck on the inside. He's just totally ignoring the Adept. He's like, yeah, okay, you can attack me. He wants to get to that natural.
Exactly. Took a little bit of damage there. Prevents the shade into the main base with that depot wall. Depths are going to, or the Widow Mines are going to come out here. The Oracle, very close to the main base, is a very hyper-aggressive proxy on this map, all the way to the north. Very short flight distance to the main base. And we'll see if he can deflect this with the Widow Mine, because he doesn't have much else. The Marine taken out here, and unfortunately, the Widow Mine now not in position. And the Hellion not attacking probes here. Uh-oh.
One of the Widow Mines goes down. Okay, it looks like he got the hit. Both these players kind of multitasking, out of control.
Oh, it looks like he tried to kill the Widow Mine with the Oracle. And
well, he was zapping it earlier. I think he just flew into range, unfortunately.
Well, now there's a Viking camping the starport. The Oracle can outfly it, but not going to find much, unfortunately, with this one. Goes ahead and takes a third base desperately here now. The Viking actually stays and lands.
Oh, man, he ran right into it. That's not a good start here for Deer. He got a couple of kills in the first one.
Well, he's going to find damage with these Adepts. The Viking is overkilling the pylon. I think he was making a Phoenix and then canceled it. Going to actually kill this SCV as well. There's just not a lot of Marines here, right? He went hyper-aggressive on the factory tech, then made add-ons on his barracks, so didn't have very many Marines out. Now he's just going to kill them one by one. Continue to kill this SCV that's trying to build this barracks here at the wall onto the reactor. No Marine micro here. And this is not...
This is getting a comical amount of damage, just 2 Adepts at the front door.
Now, this is not normal, I just want to say. And this is also before a third Nexus comes up. Deer gets the Phoenix, actually. Looks like it just got out in time. Finally, this is pushed back.
Okay, drop coming into the main now, and there's no response, but it's a little bit too late. The targeting is... I thought it was going to be good. It seems like the first Widow Mine got even more damage than the second one that was trying to target.
Yeah, 5 and 2, 7 in total. Well, this has definitely been a clown fiesta, is the official esports term to describe a game like this. Adept will be taken out here with 8 kills in total. Looks for one more SCV.
8 kill Adept 5 minutes into the game.
This will force another pro pull, and he will get 3 more. This one's not done yet. He's going to cancel it as well, put it out of range of the cannon. This forces more lost mining time for Deer. And
yeah, not the cleanest game we've ever seen of StarCraft.
The reason why I'm worried for Deer now is that Maru, if he identifies the third base, he has the much larger army, and he has the stim tech, he has the mobility of the medevacs to just go over and crush that third base. The probe damage here is significant, but you know, he lost a lot of his own SCVs. He lost a lot of SCV production back when he was dealing with all that crazy harassment. So he's not like massively ahead in economy because of this, but he has a larger army, which is the bigger problem for Deer. If he identifies his third base or just attacks in general, Deer's very vulnerable right now. Going to be a drop towards the main.
Yeah, I'm not sure if Deer's going to be expecting this. You know, on a map like Ascension to Ire, you have your bases pretty spread out, kind of in an overgrowth-esque type of fashion, and you can see he's building a bunch of stuff over here, pylons. He's got his entire army. There's only one cannon in the main.
By the way, one subtle move, very subtle, sends a Marine to the third base. Deer sends his whole army. Now the rest of his army is far away from the main base, which is where Maru actually has his real drop coming in. Could focus on this pylon to stop the warp in. A little bit too late on that one, but will empower these gateways regardless. Now we're just going to go for this photon cannon. The army's coming back now with the shades coming in. He's got the Widow Mines here, though. He's trying to bait units in. The Adepts come in to trigger, but they're targeted down.
Ooh. That first Widow Mine actually hit a bunch of the Marines.
Yeah.
He wanted to focus down that Adept before the Widow Mine shot went off. Was really close. Extremely close, but not quite. And now he's going to group up with his entire army. You see Maru only now thinking about taking a third base as an SCV has been sent over there.
+2 is coming up for Deer. The attack was relatively unsuccessful, and Deer has the eco lead now. Adepts in the main base already as he finally repowers these warp gates. Here comes the drop. The Widow Mine weakened from before, both targeted down before they could even burrow. But with Sim here, obviously this is going to be a better trade for the Bio army, just buying time again for Deer to get more units into the main base. Maru making a dent with this one though, for sure. Widow Mines survive, the extra ones, and they will get out. So he looks for another harass at the third base, pushed away by the mothership.
This is definitely Maru's style, where he tries to keep every single unit alive and tries to get the most value out of every single solitary unit, every last Marine. And, you know, he'll micro that one Marine if that means he's going to get an extra probe. And that's exactly what he's doing. He gets small, tiny advantages at a time, chips away at the Protoss army until swinging with the hammer and breaking that glass. So that's what he's trying to do, just continuously drop the main, continuously tax Deer's APM, tax his multitasking, and nice force fields here, though, on the ramp.
Yeah, shuts down that Liberator, too, with just a few anti-air units. The Widow Mine's out of range of the Adepts, so that was a very nice handling, good crisis management by Deer when things got dire. A massive Dune drop is set to the main base. He scans to confirm if Deer is on point with this as he's sending units into the main base. It's a really good scan, actually. We'll see that the units are going to the main base, so the drop was not a good idea. But now there's Adepts harassing the supply line of units coming over, also these SCVs. And Maru is on a timer here with this army. He needs to find something with this, or he's going to find himself on a one-way ticket to Game 2 with a loss.
Yeah, these are the little things that Deer is mixing into his play that is getting him more results in his play in PvT. And now we have this attack coming in. Already 17 SCVs has died, 18 in total. And this army at the front looks pretty puny compared to what Deer's got.
Blink about to be finished as well. He's got the +2 attack. I mean, this is just really solid defense coming out of Deer, holding onto his bases, having the third base up early, despite the crazy wonky early game where we saw mistakes on both sides. I think that when the dust settles, because Deer was able to get away with this third base, Maru's initial attack was the really important one, the one where he had that massive advantage with the army, and it just flopped. Now he doesn't have enough units to really reliably protect his bases, and Deer looks like he might even want to take a fourth base here. He's going to clear out the Marine that was blocking that. Probe's going to go over here, could add Storm in, get Colossi. The world is his oyster. This is his game to lose.
Yeah, if I were Deer right now, I'd be feeling really, really confident. I mean, his army just trumps Maru's 100%. He does have this Warp Prism on the way too, and he will put on some pretty intense pressure as he does get that fourth base. Should be totally uncontested. Maru not going for any drops. He knows he needs to keep everything at home to deal with this, and I feel like the Liberators are going to be really key. If he allows Maru, or rather Deer, to blink underneath them and take them all out, then I think he just loses the fight 100%. I think he's got to play really passive behind these Liberators.
Yeah. Shades in here, not with all of his army, but the majority of the, or sorry, a minority of the Adepts. Whoa. Falling apart
Adepts.
Milady. Those Adepts had fedoras on as they killed the SCVs.
This is actually really nice because it pulls that defensive army, that passive army that I wanted of Maru out of position.
Force Field's also a nice subtle touch here to grab a few more units.
Yeah. It allows Deer to pick away, but doesn't look like he's confident to take the fight just yet. Maybe he's waiting for the later game. He does have Colossus, range on the way. He does have a 4th base, so he knows he doesn't have to force it.
The majority of what this is designed to do is to keep the Liberator count low while also finding SCV kills, so he can have the Colossus tech follow-up. These gateway units never beat Terran armies the longer the game goes on. And you can see that the army size of Maru is even larger than Deer because he's been a bit wasteful with these gateway units, but the higher tech is coming, and that's where he's going to make that transition point. So again, looking for holes here in Maru's defense to kill these reinforcements, the supply line, cut it off, and also grab some more SCVs. But his army's been whittled down so significantly now that Maru, even though he's going to lose a lot of SCVs here at his 3rd base, he may just have to swing the hammer and look for the ending blow here before there's enough Colossi to defend.
He just doesn't even go for the SCVs. He's like, screw that one supply depot in particular. I'm going to take it out. And yeah, I mean, Maru does have this big army coming across the map, looking to hit that 3rd, but we do have 2 Colossi completed.
This basically forces Maru to be all in.
Yeah.
He's down to 17 SCVs. This is the last army that he's reasonably going to have this game. Good position here with the Liberators actually cutting those Stalkers down. This is a huge opportunity now for Maru. That was insane, the value he gained from that one moment with a control mistake by Deer.
Well, I do like that he went underneath. He saw the Widow Mines that were underneath the Liberators, and he waited until the shots were fired to blink. But then he didn't commit to taking out any of the Liberators because I guess he didn't feel like he had enough Stalkers. And again, he's just delaying. As you mentioned before, I mean, look at Maru's worker count. He has 19 workers.
I mean, he barely has units that are coming out of the barracks at all, and those that come out are being killed by the Adepts too, so eventually he's going to start losing production. This is the last fight of the game, very likely here as Maru sieges up again. The very large Liberator count, not enough anti-air here. The protection of the bio and a few Widow Mines keeps these Liberators in position. And once again, Deer is going to take a pretty sloppy engage here, not patient to use the Thermal Lance to buy more time. He's actually being hyper-aggressive here, and if Maru gets a little bit more value in these fights, perhaps he actually could pull out the win here. Still, though, the Colossi coming in. There's so many Stalkers with the last warp in.
The Stalkers are the key. He has those Colossi to deal with the Marine Marauder, and that's going to do it. GG, Deer takes the game number 1. Was a pretty sloppy one. It was back and forth, both players making a lot of mistakes, but at the end of it all, Deer just did way too much economic damage. Maru could not handle it.
That was a pretty, it's the kind of game that is going to leave a bad taste in both players' mouths, I feel. You're not going to walk away from that game saying, okay, that was what I planned. That's how it was supposed to go. With the lackluster defense of the base against the Adepts that came across, the Widow Mines that did damage. This game was really decided by Deer's defense of the main base when he had the 3rd base under attack. Despite having all of his gateway units at the 3rd base, he was able to muster up the defense there. Widow Mine shots, not very good for Maru. And from that point on, he had the larger army. And then his harassment really kind of put the last nail in the coffin as basically Deer hit the Adepts at the 3rd base of natural repeatedly, and Maru just couldn't muster up a large enough army to deal with those. He was kind of trapped in the middle of the map with his army. He couldn't commit to an attack, but he didn't have enough units to defend, and Deer just eventually got more and more ahead.
Yeah, it's weird to see, you know, in the past, Maru, he would always do stuff, like if he knew his opponent was going to be microing, trying to get economic damage against his SCVs, he would never just stream across the map. He would always save his units at the natural and just wait and just pick them off and make them not efficient. And in this game, it seemed like he just didn't know it was coming. And as you mentioned, that's that bad taste in your mouth when you just get hit by that over and over and over again. It's definitely really rough to deal with emotionally. So let's jump into game number 2 on Odyssey. Here we go. Game number 2 on Odyssey. Up in the top left, the yellow Protoss. It is Deer.
Down a game in this series is his opponent, Maru. To the bottom right, our Terran. You can tell the frustration with Maru after that first drop. And that's one of the things that's always been a part of SpoTV Games' production, is to have player cams throughout the entirety of the game. and that's where you could see those moments live, right? We saw Stats very emotional, even said in his interview, he was definitely feeling the heat in those games, felt very emotional. And when you look at Maru, you could see that same feeling of tension when the Widowmine drop doesn't get the damage he's looking for, or his dropship gets shut down. And, when you could see when he had to pull his SCV several times when the Adept came in, when he had to pull his SCV, the command center, you could see these sparks of emotion, right? And now stressed out, the big favorite going to this best of 3, even though he did lose to Deer in the promotions match, now a little bit worried that he's down this important game in our opening matches of SSL. So tension's definitely running high here, as we're playing a newer map too here on Odyssey. 2 new maps back-to-back, but these players wanted those maps.
I feel like Maru's definitely the type of player to, step up his game after a weak game 1. He's not the type of player to just come in with a certain kind of form and not really change or not adapt. So I'm looking forward to him, making a wall of some sort, not allowing these Adepts to come in, not taking nearly as much damage, and getting a bit more himself. So I think this should be a bit more of a competitive game 2. Doesn't look like we're going to have the proxy Stargate this time around.
I do want to say that was insane control on that probe. That got me a little bit of goosebumps. The probe buying so much time, and we saw this already in game number 1, delaying the CC. Just these little things, right? StarCraft is a game of small advantages that lead to the larger one. It's like the butterfly effect, right? But the probe was down to 5 hit points, which meant that if it had not controlled perfectly through those marrows, it would have died on acceleration. So I think to cheapen your point, I just wanted to talk about Deer's probe control for a moment.
I mean, this guy is leveling up big time. You don't just defeat Hero and Beyond that easily and make it into Premier through Fastlane in the first day, just, by accident. So definitely has become a better player. He's reaching that old form that he used to have when he became a champion. And Maru, he's going for a proxy starport in the bottom left. There is enough room there for a tech lab.
Yeah. I think you have to assume that this is going to be Liberators, but if it's the unusual tech of Cloak Banshees or something like that, or even a Raven flies across the
Maru would be the one to do it.
Maru would be the one to do it. So this is not... These things, these ideas are not out of the realm of possibility. It must be considered. Suspense now as the tech lab does go down. So, as you said, there's enough room there. Reaper's going to go over here and check the main base as Maru just wants to get a little bit more information about his opponent here. Wants to know if there's going to be a massive amount of detection. Sees the Oracle, which is going to be quite nice. He could actually drop Widowmines too with this.
He's just putting it in a weird spot. He's trying to read the flight path. Has he done it? I think he has. This is going to be really close.
It's going to be close.
Oh, he gets it.
Nice.
Oh, sick.
Well played. One small advantage leads to a larger one.
Perfect placement.
Sees the starport, or sorry, Stargate, knows the exact trajectory, draws a line on the minimap. And as the crow flies, so does the Oracle into the Widowmine. And now the Phoenix is coming out here. The Cloak is going to be quite significant. He has Oracles which can be used for detection, which is going to want to use them against the Widowmines that are coming over here. Might not have the ability to scout for the Banshee. It doesn't have Cloak yet, but it will soon. And Phoenix is going to be very important.
Looks like he's waiting for that. Yeah, that's the Widowmine crew. Widowmine cleanup crew, I should say, excuse me.
Okay, gets the reveal on the one, but the second one here is not revealed. Doesn't matter because there's enough units here to defend with the overcharge. Pooling the Banshee's actually going to wait for 2 of them here, or at least wait for the Cloak before revealing that tech, as he sends a bunch of Widowmines across the map. Committing a lot of gas to this and a lot of time to this is Maru. It's going to make his army a lot smaller.
Oh! Doesn't get the hit.
Yeah, it fired, but the burrow makes it kind of invincible in that moment without detection. Waiting here for a moment, trying to bait units away with the Widowmine. Okay,
here we go.
No detection here. The Robo is made now as Deer has to respond to this.
This is such a weird build.
Not enough energy on this Oracle to detect.
Maru's going for the main. Okay, the first Banshee's going to go, and this could just get a crazy amount of damage. He has to focus down these probes, though. that is exactly what he's going to do. Doesn't look like there's any hope here for Deer.
Yeah, I mean, shift clicks are real, and this is going to be so much damage. This is not game-ending damage, but it's going to force Deer to kind of all-in counterattack. Widowmine does get some damage done here, actually, on Burrows. This may just be too much. If he loses any more of his army, even a counterattack here seems pretty unreasonable. He's committed so much resources to these photon cannons, which are now, by the way, completely useless since the Banshees are already gone.
Maru's like, I dare you to play without detection again. I dare you.
Cloak Banshee is not common in this meta, but it was used a lot against players in Wings of Liberty, and even a little bit of Heart of the Swarm against players who were so used to going for builds without detection, going for things like 6 gateway all-ins, and the Banshee tech can sometimes be a blind counter to that, but in this case, he shows a lot of Cloak with the Widow Mines, gives Deer a false sense of security, hides the Banshees, comes in at a weird timing that Deer just could not have reasonably expected.
I mean, he was walking Widow Mines into the natural and saying, hey, detect me, reveal me, you've got an Oracle, do it. And then Banshees come in afterwards, so definitely was calculated by Maru.
He has not enough. Oh man, that's game.
GG. He's like, yeah, I've had enough of this one.
I was going to say, he has not enough probes to saturate 3 bases. Doesn't even have the security on that 3rd base. There were Widow Mines galore, Marines over there. He's never going to have that mining there. So even though he had a 3rd Nexus, it just could not be used. So game number 1, a longer, more thought-out game. Deer brings the 3rd Nexus up. We see a more macro-oriented game after a crazy early game. But this game, Maru throws the curveball, and it's a swing and a miss for Deer. Just unable to deal with that Banshee tech. The Widow Mines he dealt with very well, but that was not the big picture. It was a bait on that Oracle energy.
Yeah. Maru's always liked his Banshee tech. I mean, he used it a lot in TVT, Heart of the Swarm. He sometimes brings it out in weird situations, but now it's like, as you said before, it's just not meta. You just wouldn't expect that kind of build. So Maru kind of sweeps the rug out from underneath Deer, sneaks a game, and we are going to have a game 3 on Abyssal Reef.
Yeah, so this is it. This is the game decider, guys. As we go into the big map, Abyssal Reef, let's jump into game number 3.
Here we go. We have game 3 for the second time tonight. Down in the bottom right, this is Deer. Having a lot of trouble with cloaked stuff.
His opponent to the top left, of course, is Maru in blue. Definitely having kind of a cold death stare here, as he got his revenge in game 2, and I think he wants to close it out. Of course he wants to, but feels like you could feel his determination. So on Abyssal Reef, the rush distance is much longer, very similar to what we saw in Ascension 2 Ire, maybe a little bit longer than that. I haven't actually tested the nat-to-nat time for worker or anything like that, but I'm going to see Deer send the probe across to block the CC yet again after the scout.
Yeah.
Seen this every game.
This is a Deer thing now. I think he does it in every single game, maybe even against Zerg.
If you make a mistake, as we saw, you can lose the SCV, and it forces you to pull an extra worker. You want to scout the Terran anyways. And if you get the pylon off, if the Terran somehow fails to respect the probe, you get the pylon off, then the delay is further, because the Terran does not want to build his command center not at the natural. He can lift it and land it, but that takes a lot of extra time. So just very aggressive. A lot of players have been famous for their worker harass over the years. Deer not really one of them, but you get back at players like Huck, SOS, you know, the old Protoss greats definitely use this a lot of the time when scouting on Pylon or scouting on Gateway was the meta, especially in Wings of Liberty. Players like MC, very annoying with the probe.
Mm-hmm. For some reason, Parting popped into my mind, but he was the guy that just never scouted.
Yeah.
So, not him.
Not really him, but You would think that a player like him, given his personality and playstyle, would be the annoying probe guy, but
yeah,
not so much. Well, the SCV scout's going to come in here, not the Reaper this time, but we'll count pylons to see if Deer is going to bring any more shenanigans to the table. The Reaper already checked the hyper-aggressive proxy location at the 9 o'clock. It's going to be an in-base Stargate. The SCV actually leaves before seeing this.
Yeah, doesn't see it. Just going to stroll on out of there. Was scared to die to the Adept, so not doing his duty in a sense. And the probe, he's getting to work.
Talking about going to force the SCV off the command center for just a second.
Similar to game 1, I think it was.
Yeah, 5 hit points different, but you can tell Deer has really practiced this, the timings of harassing the command center, since the builds in TVP are so rigid in terms of the command center coming down, the reactor going up on the barracks and things like this. If you see the same build every time, you can find one little weird thing to get into the Terran's head. Looking for that SCV kill with the Adept. The wall is down, and the Adept can come in here. Actually, if he wanted to, could have tried to harass these Marines. Does see the Widowmine come out. And the key here is that he knows it's not any Hellions coming across the map. He has the extra information now.
Reaper coming in, will get the follow-up scout. Should see these Oracles on the way, but will pay for it with his life. But definitely a very good scout for him to get. Maru can now appropriately place his Widowmine, starts a Viking. We'll see if he goes for the play where he tries to line up the flight path again. I think he doesn't have quite as much time this game.
Does try it, though. Deer is not going to fall for the same trick twice. He's going to take the longer, more roundabout path, going directly towards the top of the map, the 12 o'clock. Then we'll shift to the left side here. Still a Widowmine in position. And Marines, if he miscontrols here, it's going to be a dead Oracle immediately.
Flying in, really flirting with disaster here, but does get away. 46 health, only 1 kill on a Marine, I believe it was. Oh, what?
Oh, the Viking. I was like, Widowmines can't shoot across that ocean. That doesn't make sense.
Well, this pylon is pretty cool. We've seen Protosses do this before, where you just put one pylon, you slow warp into depths, and you just stream them in. It's like a spawning point. And instead of Adepts, it's going to be Stalkers.
He's like,
actually.
all right, I'm going to protect my Oracle against the Viking with the Stalkers. It's a Stalker escort trio looking to find some relief for the Viking harassment.
This is definitely going to be annoying if Maru wanted to go for like a greedy third or something like that. He would have these units in position. It's not really the timing, so it looks like he wants to go for the natural, actually.
He's just going to poke in.
He's going to have 9 units on the ground, 6 Stalkers, 3 Adepts, and this Oracle, and he's even putting a pylon down.
He wants to commit to this, but problem is there's a lot of bio here, and Widowmine's not really having the best form of detection with this Oracle to deal with it. In fact, the Viking's going to push it away. Widowmine's coming home here. SCVs were forced off the line. He gets a lot with this. The tag goes down. He's looking for the Widowmine. Does get one shot off here. The second one will get revealed and taken out. So that's important that he gets both with one tag.
Yeah,
that was
really
the biggest
huge
concern. And will we see the warp? And he is coming in with more Stalkers here. Then he's just kiting back. This looks like a Wings of Liberty push right now with the Gateway units fighting against Bio. A Viking on the ground. Just kiting the Marines.
Desperately trying to get Liberators and Cyclones out to deal with this, but this has already done a huge amount of damage.
I don't think it's done yet either. He's just going to keep kiting back. The Oracle's coming back in here too to turn on, to target down these Marines. The Cyclones are vulnerable. Has he done it? This is an insane push that we're seeing here.
It looks like he's done it. Even if he doesn't kill him, he's done enough damage to get him way too far ahead.
56-25. Third base is up. Fully mining, fully operational. Liberator comes out, but it's way too late. Even if every Stalker dies here, they have done their job. We're going to see depots going down now. He can't control the natural. He doesn't have a third base.
Maru just didn't expect this coming. Protosses just don't do this
Nobody
all too often.
This.
Like,
this is not the thing normally. But
he just warped in stuff. It was only 3 gateways. He just warped in stuff. There was no bunker, no Liberators, nothing to deal with it. The Widowmines were out of position. It was just totally unexpected, and it looks like Deer's going to win the game off of it.
If the Revelation doesn't hit both Widowmines, I think this might be a different story, but because it did, and he saw that, he knew where they were coming from, this is just way too much damage. If he had more gateways, he could end the game right now. He's going to have 3 more in just a second. Maru doesn't even want to play it out. GG, Deer, with another upset win over our Terran here in Maru.
Yeah, I mean, the more times he wins, we're going to have to move away from the word upset.
Yeah.
As that's the second time in a very short span of time where Deer was able to take out Maru, and he's not the only horseman he's taken out. Took out Byun in Challenge, as I mentioned before, and man, this guy's looking pretty good so far. It was a bit of a wonky game. Maru obviously did not expect that, did not have the tools ready to deal with that push. And just the one pylon for just some basic warp ins, and Maru couldn't handle it.
Just unexpected attack. Revelation hits both Widow Mines, and Maru just didn't have enough units out. Been a lot of resources making the Widow Mines, the harassment earlier, so that just isn't normal, but he makes it work, man. When I see the pylon at the natural, I was like, well, he's definitely not going to warp in here. He doesn't even have a mothership with this, but just had too many units. The micro was really good on the Stalkers, targeting down the Cyclones, having the Oracle come back in for the finishing blow. Just some really nice play overall, and that's it. That's our 4th series. We got one more.
BL versus Classic is going to be the last match of the night. When I looked at the matchups for tonight, I really liked number 1, 3, and 5, and we're almost at the end, guys. Number 5 coming very soon. BL versus Classic. BL was looking really good in Premier for Season 1, and Classic was doing quite well in Challenge, and he was able to make it through the fast lane to make it up to Premier this time for Season 2. So, guys, we're going to take a quick commercial break. When we come back, we'll have the series number 5.